Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered why that special bottle you saved maybe tasted, well, a bit off?
Or maybe you just want to get the absolute best out of your wine collection.
Exactly. If that sounds like you, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we are really focusing on the crucial details of wine storage. It's more important than many people think.
hmm We've looked through a couple of really insightful guides. Guia Prático de Armazenamiento de Vinos and Armazenamiento de Vinho. Guia Completo Sop o Olar de Sommelier.
And we've distilled the key takeaways for you.
That's the plan. We know you want practical, solid info without wading through fluff. So our mission here is simple. Give you the essential knowledge to store your wine right. Not just okay, but optimally.
Right. Going beyond just keep it cool and into what really preserves that quality, what lets a wine age properly. So let's jump right in. What are the main things working against us when we store wine?
The big enemies. Well, wine seems tough in that bottle, but it's actually quite sensitive. Our sources really hammer home 5 key environmental threats. You've got temperature, light, humidity, vibration, and, believe it or not, odors.
Okay, 5 big ones. Let's pull apart temperature first. Everyone kind of knows heat is bad, but what's the real story? What's ideal, and what happens when it goes wrong?
Yeah, temperature is probably the most critical. Both guides agree. The sweet spot, the ideal zone for almost all wine storage, is between 12 and 14 degrees Celsius. That's about 54 to 57 Fahrenheit.
Okay, 12 to 14°C. Why that specific range?
Well, it's not just a random number. That range allows the wine to evolve slowly. The chemical reactions that develop complexity, they happen gradually in a controlled way.
Yeah.
It's about letting the wine mature gracefully.
Got it. So what if it gets warmer, say above 20°C, like 68 Fahrenheit or more?
Okay, think of it like cooking. Too hot and you ruin it. High temperatures basically speed up aging, but not in the good way. You lose freshness, those delicate aromas fade, and you can get these sort of cooked, drammy notes instead.
Ugh,
Cooked wine, not appealing.
not at all. And importantly, heat makes the liquid expand. That pressure can push the cork even slightly, letting oxygen creep in. And oxygen, well, that's a major problem for wine, oxidation.
Right, the great enemy, oxygen. Okay, so too hot is bad. What about too cold? Below 7 Celsius, like 45 Fahrenheit.
Cold temperatures kind of slam the brakes on aging. The wine just stopped developing, which isn't as destructive as heat, maybe, but it prevents those complex flavors from emerging.
So it just stays static.
Pretty much. You might also see tartrate crystals form. They look like little bits of glass, harmless, taste-wise, but some people don't like the look. And if it gets really cold, freezing temperatures,
Yeah.
well, wine can freeze. That expansion can push the cork right out or even crack the bottle. Definitely want to avoid that.
Okay, so that 12-14 C range is like the Goldilocks zone.
Mm.
But what about just normal day-to-night changes or seasonal shifts? Are those small ups and downs a big deal?
That's actually a really crucial point. Even small, regular fluctuations can cause problems over time. Think about the cork.
It expands when warm, contracts when cool, back and forth, back and forth.
Like breathing, almost.
Sort of, yeah.
Mhm.
And that constant movement weakens the cork seal. It gets less effective. So little bits of oxygen can get in, day after day. This is slow, cumulative oxidation. Consistency of temperature is almost as important as the temperature itself.
Wow, okay, so steady is key. That makes sense. Let's move to the next enemy, light. We often see wine, especially red, in dark bottles. Why? What's the specific danger from light?
The main villain here is UV radiation. Ultraviolet light, same stuff that gives us sunburn.
Right.
When UV rays hit the wine, they can trigger chemical reactions that break down the compounds responsible for flavor and aroma. And worse, they can actually create new, unpleasant sulfur compounds.
Sulfur compounds? Like what? Is that the lightstrike thing?
Exactly, lightstrike. It can result in aromas that are really off-putting. These cooked cabbage, sometimes even like burnt rubber. It's a clear sign the wine's been damaged by light.
Yikes. Cooked cabbage wine. Definitely want to avoid that. Are some wines more prone to this?
Yes, absolutely. White wines and sparkling wines are generally more vulnerable.
Why is that?
It's partly because they lack the higher levels of tannins and anthocyanins. Those are the compounds that give red wine its color and structure. And they also offer some natural UV protection. Plus, the lighter color of white and sparkling wine just lets more light through to begin with.
Ah, okay, so the dark bottle is really functional, not just aesthetic.
Definitely. It's a vital defense, especially for those lighter styles.
Makes sense. Okay, next up, humidity. I usually think of high humidity causing mold, but it sounds like it's more about the cork.
You're spot on. While really high humidity can cause mold on labels, which is mostly a cosmetic issue, or even on the cork surface, the main reason to care about humidity is keeping the cork itself healthy. The ideal range is generally cited as 70 to 75% relative humidity.
70 to 75%. Why does the cork need that much moisture?
Well, think of a natural cork like a tiny sponge. If the air is too dry, say below 50% humidity, the cork can dry out.
And then it shrinks.
Exactly. It loses its elasticity, it shrinks, and poof, there goes your airtight seal. Gaps form between the cork and the glass, and oxygen gets in.
Okay, so low humidity is definitely bad for the seal. What about too high, above 80%, besides the label mold?
Well, the high humidity itself doesn't usually harm the wine inside a properly sealed bottle directly.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the mold issue on the outside, which isn't great. And maybe if the cork is already a bit compromised,
Yeah.
very high humidity could potentially contribute to off odors, but that's less common. Low humidity is the bigger threat to the wine itself.
Got it. Keep the cork happy, basically. All right, number 4, vibration. This one seems less obvious. Why would a little shaking hurt a sealed bottle?
It is subtle, but yeah, it matters, especially long term. Constant vibration, even if it's gentle, can actually speed up those chemical reactions happening inside the bottle.
So it ages faster, but maybe not better?
Right. It can kind of rush the process,
Yeah.
preventing the wine from developing complexity in that slow, harmonious way.
Mm.
Also, for older wines that have naturally developed sediment, vibration keeps stirring that sediment up. It prevents it from settling nicely, so the wine might end up looking cloudy when you pour it.
Ah, okay. Where do these vibrations typically come from in a home environment?
Oh, lots of places. Appliances are big ones, washing machines, dryers, even refrigerators sometimes. Heavy foot traffic nearby, busy roads outside. It can all transmit through the structure.
So basically, find a quiet, still spot.
That's the goal, yeah. As undisturbed as possible.
Okay, makes sense. And the last enemy, odors. It seems intuitive you wouldn't store wine next to, like, paint cans or onions. But how do smells actually get into a sealed bottle?
Through the cork, again. It's a great seal, but it's not completely impermeable. It's slightly porous.
Really?
Yeah. Over time, if there are strong, persistent odors in the stored area, chemicals, mustiness, strong cooking smells, whatever the cork can absorb them.
And then they migrate into the wine.
Slowly, yes. They can eventually taint the wine's own aroma profile. So you really want a clean, neutral-smelling environment.
Wow, okay. So unstable temperature, light, wrong humidity, vibration, and strong smells. Quite a list of potential problems. It sounds like setting up good storage takes some thought. What are the practical ways to do it? What are our options?
Well, the good news is there are solutions for different needs and different budgets. For people who are really serious about long-term aging, especially for valuable wines, the best bet is usually a dedicated wine refrigerator, sometimes called a climatized cellar or wine cave.
Right. What makes those so good?
They're purpose-built to tackle all those 5 enemies we just discussed. They give you precise, stable temperature control. Many also manage humidity. They protect from light, usually with UV-filtered glass or solid doors. They're designed to minimize vibration. And some even have charcoal filters to keep the air inside clean and odor-free.
Sounds pretty comprehensive, like a little high-tech bunker for your wine.
Kind of, yeah. It's about
Okay.
creating that ideal, stable environment.
What should you look for if you're thinking about getting one?
Well, first, think about size. How much wine do you have now, and how much do you realistically expect to have in the future? Get one slightly bigger than you think you need.
Good tip.
Then consider the cooling system. Compressor units are usually more powerful, better for larger units or warmer climates, and often better at humidity control. Thermoelectric units are quieter and vibration-free, but might struggle in very hot rooms and sometimes don't manage humidity as actively.
Okay, compressor versus thermoelectric. Anything else?
Yeah, look at shelving. Is it adjustable for different bottle shapes? Lighting LED is best. No heat, no UV. Maybe security features if you have very valuable bottles. Some even have smart features now, like you monitor things remotely.
And once you have one, how should you organize the wine inside? Any tips?
However it makes sense for you. Group by type, reds here, whites there, or by region or vintage. Maybe by drink now versus keep longer. The key thing, really, is to have some kind of inventory.
Ah, right, so you know what you have.
Exactly. A simple spreadsheet, an app, even just tags on the bottles. Something so you don't forget what treasures are hiding in the back. And of course, lay those cork-sealed bottles down on their sides. Keep the cork moist.
Always horizontal for corks.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, wine fridges sound great for controlled storage. What about that classic image, the traditional underground cellar?
The dream for many wine lovers. And for good reason. A good underground cellar can naturally provide many of the ideal conditions. Stable, cool temperature, decent humidity, darkness, lack of vibration, and no electricity bill for the storage itself.
Sounds ideal, but I guess there are catches.
The biggest one is simply having access to one. Not many homes do. And even if you have a basement or cellar space, you need to check if it's actually suitable.
How do you check?
You need to monitor it. Track the temperature over a full year. Does it stay reliably in that 12-14 C range? Measure the humidity. Is it consistently around 70-75%? Is it truly dark? Is it free from vibrations? Is there decent airflow to prevent mustiness?
So might need some work.
Often, yes. You might need to improve insulation, add ventilation, maybe use a humidifier or a dehumidifier depending on the conditions. It can be a project. But if you can get it right, it's fantastic storage.
A natural solution, but needs managing. Okay, what about the rest of us? People without fancy fridges or cellars just wanting to keep wine for, say, a few weeks or months, short term.
Yeah, for wines you plan to drink relatively soon, you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles. The main goal is just finding the coolest, darkest, most stable place in your house.
Like where?
Often, an interior closet or pantry works well. They tend to have fewer temperature swings than rooms on outside walls. A basement, even an unfinished one, is often good. Under the stairs, perhaps?
Yeah.
Anywhere away from direct sunlight, away from appliances that generate heat, like ovens or dishwashers.
And the main rules still apply.
Absolutely. Avoid those big temperature swings as much as possible. Keep it dark. Store cork bottles on their side. Minimize vibrations. Keep it away from strong smells like cleaning supplies or onions. Basic care goes a long way for short-term storage.
Good to know simple steps can help. What about those smaller countertop wine coolers, sometimes marketed more for serving temperature? Can they be used for storage too?
They can be okay for short-term storage. Definitely better than leaving wine out on the counter. And they're great for getting wine to the right serving temperature, which is often different from the ideal storage temperature.
Right, that's an important difference.
Yeah. But for long-term aging, especially for wines meant to develop over years, many smaller coolers might not have robust enough humidity control. The environment side can be too dry, potentially drying out the corks over time. So know the limitations of the unit.
Okay, so useful, but maybe not for that 20-year Bordeaux.
Probably not, unless it's a model specifically designed for long-term storage with humidity control.
Got it. We've covered general principles. Now, are there specific things to keep in mind for different types of wine? Let's start with reds.
Sure. For reds, that ideal 12-14 C storage temp is still the goal. The main distinction is maybe between young, fruity reds you'll drink soon and more structured, age-worthy reds.
Now so?
Well, those serious reds really benefit from that stable, cool environment to allow their tannins to soften, the acidity to integrate, and those complex secondary and tertiary aromas to develop over years, sometimes decades. They're more sensitive to poor storage. And again, horizontal storage for corks is essential.
Okay. How about white wines? They seem more delicate sometimes.
They often are. Same storage temperature, 12-14 C, is ideal for aging whites too. For serving, you might chill younger, crisper whites down a bit more, maybe 8-10 C, but definitely avoid storing them long-term in your regular kitchen fridge. It's usually too cold and way too dry for the cork.
And we already talked about their light sensitivity.
Exactly. Big issue for whites. Dark storage is super important to prevent that light strike.
Right. What about rosé?
Rosé also likes that 12-14 C range for storage. But most rosé is really made to be enjoyed young and fresh, usually within a year or two of its vintage. So the main goal is just preserving that vibrancy. Long-term aging isn't typically the aim.
Keep it fresh. Got it. Sparkling wines, they have all that pressure inside.
Yep, the bubbles add another layer. Storage temp, still 12-14 C. But because of the internal pressure, keeping that cork seal perfect is even more critical. So horizontal storage is vital to keep the cork moist.
And temperature swings would be bad.
Definitely avoid big fluctuations. Changes in temperature can affect the pressure inside the bottle, potentially stressing the seal or, in extreme cases, causing issues. Stability is key for sparklers.
Okay. Lastly, dessert wines. Things like sauternes or port.
Many of those have amazing aging potential thanks to their high sugar and sometimes higher alcohol content. Think sauternes, Toka G, vintage port, sweet cherries like PX. They still want that 12-14 C storage. And stable conditions are crucial for them to develop those incredibly complex layered flavors over many, many years.
So core rules apply across the board, but with some specific sensitivities to keep in mind. Great. Now, the unfortunate part. Let's say despite our best efforts, we open a bottle and suspect beer. Something's wrong. What are the signs that a wine has spoiled or gone bad?
Okay, yeah. There are definitely clues. First, use your eyes.
Okay.
Look at the color.
What should we look for?
For reds, look for premature browning or sort of dull orange tints, especially around the edge in the glass. A loss of that bright ruby or purple vibrancy. For whites, they might darken significantly going towards amber or brown much faster than you'd expect for their age. Rosés lose their pinkness, turning orange or brownish.
So color change is a big one. What about sediment? Isn't some sediment normal in older wines?
Absolutely. Those
Yeah.
little tartrate crystals we mentioned. Totally fine, harmless. What you don't want to see is general cloudiness or haziness throughout the wine, or weird, fluffy, suspended bits, flocculent sediment. That can signal instability or microbial problems.
Okay, cloudy is bad, crystals are okay. What about smell? The nose knows, right?
Oh, definitely. Your nose is probably your best tool here.
Yeah.
Obvious off-aromas or red flags,
Alex.
like vinegar that's volatile acidity, or a damp, musty, wet cardboard smell, classic sign of cork taint, TCA. Cooked egg or burnt rubber smells can point to reduction issues. Nail polish remover, that's ethyl acetate. Sometimes even garlic or onion notes from thiols.
Wow, none of those sound good.
No. Basically, if it smells generally off, stale, oxidized, or just nothing like the wine should smell, trust your nose.
Are there clues on the bottle itself before we even open it?
Sometimes. Look for signs of leakage around the cork wine stains on the foil capsule or trickling down the label. That means the thiol failed at some point. Also, a cork that's pushing noticeably upwards out of the bottle neck.
What does that usually mean?
Almost always means it got too hot. Heat exposure. That wine has likely suffered.
And for sparkling wine.
The most obvious sign, of course, is if you open it and fizz nothing. A complete lack of bubbles in a wine that should have them is a clear indicator something went wrong.
Okay, so it's really a combination of looking, smelling, and checking the bottle. Now, if we find a bottle that seems flawed, what do we do? Is it always a total loss?
Not necessarily always. First, assess how flawed it seems. As we said, a bit of normal sediment just needs decanting. Slight cloudiness might even be intentional for some natural wines. If it smells a bit closed or reductive, like struck match, sometimes giving it air decanting or swirling in the glass can help it blow off,
So give it a chance.
within reason. But if it clearly smells of vinegar, or wet dog, or mold, or if it tastes really unpleasant or flat, then yeah, it's probably best not to drink it. Trust your senses.
And if it's undrinkable, how should we dispose of it?
The simplest way is usually just down the drain. Give the sink a good rinse afterwards. You can compost small amounts of wine. And if a wine is just oxidized, not otherwise flawed, some people actually use it to make homemade wine vinegar.
Interesting.
Yeah, but the main thing is, don't force yourself to drink something that's clearly deteriorated. It won't be pleasant, and while usually not dangerous, it's just, why bother?
Right, no point drinking bad wine. Okay, let's wrap this up. To bring it all together, what are the absolute key takeaways? The must-remember rules for good wine storage.
Okay, the big ones. Keep the temperature stable, ideally in that 12-14 range. Keep it dark. Make sure humidity is adequate, around 70–75%, especially for corks. Avoid vibration. Keep away from strong smells. And store those cork-sealed bottles on their side, horizontal storage.
Stable temp, dark, good humidity, no shaking, no smells, and horizontal for corks. Got it. And remind us, why go to all this trouble? What's the reward?
The reward is simple. Getting to experience the wine as it was meant to be, unlocking its full potential, whether that's youthful freshness or the complex beauty of age. It's about enjoying those nuanced flavors and aromas, basically getting the most pleasure out of every bottle.
Well said. And if folks want to learn even more after this deep dive?
Well, the guides we mentioned are a great start, obviously. Beyond that, tons of great books on wine, reputable websites, talking to knowledgeable staff at wine shops or sommelier, and it may be the most fun way to go to tastings. Taste, compare, ask questions.
Excellent advice. So maybe the final thought for you, our listener, is this. Think about the journey that wine took to get into the bottle. Proper storage is really how you honor that journey, how you let the wine fulfill its potential. Consider your own collection, what potential is waiting in those bottles, and how can you help unlock it?
Well put. It's about respecting the wine.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.